I was having tiny pains at night, like really tiny pains. When I went in, it turned out they were little mini contractions, and they checked my fluid levels, like the amount of water that the baby is floating in, and those were too low. And it was really scary, and I was there by myself. And so I went back to the doctor on Monday again, expecting everything was fine because I'd been drinking like a fish, and they told me that the fluid levels were bad and that I'd have to give birth that day. My appointment was early in the morning, and they told me to go home, eat dinner, get my bag ready, and come back. And then the next morning, I started with the Pitocin. The contractions were, like, unbelievable. It was, like, 0 to 100. Because the stuff is so strong, I labored for 6 hours, and then I was basically, like, I felt like I was dying. Like, I couldn't do it anymore. I really thought I was just going to die. So I got to the point where I'd been awake for maybe 30 hours or something like that. I was so exhausted and weak that I was like falling asleep in between the contractions. So I would kind of sleep for like a minute and then wake up to this horrendous pain. And then I'd fall asleep as soon as it was done. And that kind of just repeated for several hours. The baby's heart rate had dropped, and I was still waiting on this asshole doctor. She'd give me 2 contractions, and if I couldn't get the baby out in 2 contractions, then we'd go do a C-section. So the baby came out, and they were worried about the health of the baby, that he might not come out breathing, but he was fine. He just had the cord wrapped around his neck. So after that, I got really cold and shaky and went deaf for a few minutes, and I thought I was going to pass out. 5 minutes after we arrived in the room, they wheeled in the baby. That moment was really lovely. I mean, it was amazing. I couldn't believe that I'd made this little human being. I guess the entire pregnancy I'd been kind of incredulous that a baby would actually come out. And I was just completely overwhelmed. Like, I didn't know what to do with him. You know, I couldn't really sit up or walk on my own, and then they just brought in this baby. I cried a lot. I'm not really a big crier, but that happened.